the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty podcast with Borg, Betz, and a baller.
Welcome back. It's Wednesday, December 18th. We're back on the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Borganoni, and I'm joined by Matthew Betz and Jason Moore.
Whew, bringing the heat. Kyle is amped up to talk a few rookies and talk some Christmas wishes.
I do love the Kyle intro on a Wednesday morning for people. You know, it's hump day, middle of the week, but Kyle always brings the energy. And what I notice about him on these shows, when he does the intro, he almost always has a cup of hot tea. And as you know, Kyle gets older in life and he gets wiser, I just know that when he gets that second cup of tea for his day, he's ready to up the productivity. So Kyle brings the heat on a Wednesday.
I will agree with you. I'm learning how to do this while also having a dog at my feet. That's what I'm learning at this stage in life. And you guys are dog owners. You've been for a while.
Yeah. Obviously.
But I'm kind of new right now, but I'll just say this right now. My dog absolutely adores me, and I love it and I hate it because this thing wants to follow me around at all times. At all times.
Yeah, that's why dogs are awesome, Kyle. Get on board with just being loved. It's okay to be loved and adored.
That is a good message to take on a Wednesday for myself, is that, you know, my family feels a certain way about me, but maybe my dog loves me more.
Oh, for sure your dog loves you more because your dog doesn't know all your flaws. Your family knows your flaws, Kyle.
They know all of your flaws, Kyle.
And Betz, don't you say about your dog that, like, you know, you'll tell your wife this sometimes, be like, I genuinely might love this thing more than y'all sometimes.
I mean, I tell her that every day. I do say it around the kids jokingly and then laugh and give them a kiss, but I really do love this dog more than anything in the world. I every night.
I say this like as a joke, but it's actually true. I have hooked myself up to a polygraph machine, and I can verify that I love my dog more than my family.
I hope my wife is not listening to this, but I do every night before bed. So the dog sleeps in bed with us every night before bed, and I have a German short-haired pointer. It's so funny. These dogs love to be tucked in, like under. He has his own blanket. It's a whole thing. He loves to be tucked in. I tuck him in every night. I give him a kiss. I tell him he's the best thing that ever happened to this family. I just roll over. I'm like, night, babe. No kiss, no hug, just like, night, see you in the morning. Like, but the dog gets a full, you know, hope you had a great day, buddy, love you, you know, see you in the morning. I do love that dog. You
sound like a real jerk.
I do love that dog more than anything.
And that's when she left him. And it was that day.
Merry Christmas, honey.
This day.
On this episode, we will be talking about some rookies for 2025. I know there's some people that are either out in Dynasty. Imagine that. Just being out, not in the playoffs, not moving on. So for some of those people, we're going to
You're never out in Dynasty. That's the point.
You're just a loser.
You're just on to the next one.
You're just planning your rebuild a little earlier than other people. That's all.
Yeah, and so that's like the good excuse in Dynasty is that you're being a proactive manager when really like, hey, you just lost. So your only hope is to think about 2025 rookies. So we'll highlight a few.
Betz, you put up a big score in our Dino Junior this last week in the playoffs, so congratulations. That must have gone well for you.
That was with an Amari goose egg on top of it, which is hilarious because I played you guys 2 weeks ago. You had the Jaden Reed goose. I won by a small amount. This past week, I had the Amari goose. Didn't lose by a ton, but the playoff seeding and the way that league works. Jason, are you the commissioner?
No, it's broke.
We got to figure that out.
I am the commissioner. We got to figure it out because our division's so much better. But the reason why we haven't fixed it is because it doesn't matter.
Okay.
We win the championship no matter what. We're in the hardest division. We got the hardest path. I mean, you all know it's going to happen again. 3 of the last 4 years. And now we're already past you. We're into the second round. It's going to be 4 of the last 5. It's unfair to have Mike and I co-manage a team together.
I seriously hope you get crushed this week. What team are you playing?
Of course you do. The whole league does. What's that?
I'm trying to look at
we're playing.
You're playing Schneider.
So.
You could lose this week.
Yeah,
all right.
Absolutely. Schneider's got the best team in the league.
He has Schneider.
A better team than us for sure. Not gonna matter.
It's interesting you mentioned Mike because I don't know if he's actually on this planet right now. I'm not actually sure.
Mike is very sick and ill. At the lunch table today, Kyle, I saw a screenshot that you shared with Jeremy. These guys have the Whoop strap for tracking their health.
Not a
and
sponsor, but I love it.
Yeah, their recovery, their sleep scores, all that stuff. And Mike's recovery score, while he is ill right now, he hasn't been on the main show, and his overnight score from Whoop was 1%. Which I didn't know you could actually score that low.
I have never seen that before. Like, to the point of, I looked up a couple. This is who I am as a friend. Like, the stats, I looked up Mike's like resting heart rate and a couple other things. I'm like, okay, how bad is this right now? It's one of the lowest scores. So Mike is on the mend. He's not going to help you as a co-manager this week at all. He's down for the count.
He knows his place. We talk about this when we get questions about co-managers. He is the co-manager. Like, we share the team, but like it's my team, and Mike is the co. I started it without him, and he's come on board, and he's a great co-manager. But I could steer the ship. We got no problems here.
Yeah, my co-manager in that league is my brother, and I love having him. It's super fun to do it together. Borganoni Bros, we're doing it together, but it's me. I'm making the decisions. We still have conference meetings every week, though. Not about that. We kind of suck now, so that's totally fine. We are going to turn the page in just a second and talk about 2025 and Super Bowl Sunday. I know this is super early, but we will be releasing the Dynasty Pass. So for a lot of these players we're going to talk about, their profiles, when we talk about production, all that stuff will be released, and so it's weird to talk about that now because we're still in like playoff mode. But once it hits January 1st, the three of us and our entire team, like, our focus starts to turn where we look at these prospects intently. We look at the game film. We go through our process. Jason gets his black book out. He writes in it. Sometimes he doesn't write in it. There's lots of things happening. So,
yeah, I mean, it's even before January 1st. I mean, we're 2 weeks away from really diving in, scouting these rookies, doing all of our, the data analysis, everything we do. But yeah, that will launch every year. We launch the Dynasty Pass as part of the UDK Plus, and it launches for the first triad of information on Super Bowl Sunday. There will be a ton of information, and if you're newer to Dynasty, or maybe you've been around for a long time, but really when you get in early, when you are first to start developing understanding of the incoming rookie class, it is more of a help than you realize. The people that come, the week or the month of their rookie draft, and they're trying to like cram all these names that you might not know of, you might not watch college football, you might be unaware, you're just not going to have the same understanding when your draft rolls around.
And if you're an Ultimate Foot Clan member, that is something that's included. So if you're one of those people that got on board with some of the new, tools and everything else,
you already got it.
It's there. It's already a part of it.
Hey, rookie. Welcome to the NFL.
So we're going to start this episode off by teasing a player that are going to be available in your 2025 rookie drafts. I'm going to start with Betz because not only is this such a homer pick, but you will be boots on the ground for this player this weekend.
Yeah, I am a homer for Penn State. So I will be at the game this weekend for the college football playoff, taking on SMU. So, of course, I have to bring up Tyler Warren. Real quick, if anybody is at that game, you can come find me. I will be the guy with, do you guys know what hot hands are out in Arizona? You probably don't.
Nope.
Kyle, do you know what that is?
Yeah, like hand warmers?
Yeah, hand warmers. I'm going to tape them all over my body. It's supposed to be mid-teens with the wind chill, so it is going to be absolutely freezing, but I'll be at the game to watch Tyler Warren, who won the Mackey Award this past year as the nation's top tight end. It's wild to see how they're using him at Penn State. This guy comes out, former college quarterback, kind of has a slow start to his career as the tight end 3, tight end 4, and this year is the de facto top option in the offense. And on top of that being the case in the passing game, with over 1,000 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns, the dude is also lining up in Wildcat. They're giving him jet sweeps. It kind of feels, and I'm not making the comparison as to how he plays or anything like that, but how we talked about Georgia and Brock Bowers of this dude is so talented, they're just getting him the ball any way they can. And I don't think Warren is as good of a prospect, obviously, but the same is true. They're getting him on end around. They're getting him direct snaps to run the football. So just a talented player. They want to get the ball in his hands. And we've seen Penn State tight ends produce in the NFL. I mean, Theo Johnson, we'll wait and see. He was a interesting like speed score guy this past year. Obviously out for the year. The Muth, Pat Fryermuth, Brenton Strange popped up this past weekend, Mike Gesicki. So interested to see kind of what we all think about Tyler Warren, but he looks like the top 10 in prospect in this class.
He had that game against USC, and I know for our audience, some people are college football fans, some people wait until, we turn the page, but like when a tight end has a game where he catches 17 balls for 224.
That's insane.
It was unreal.
Okay, so you weren't at that game.
No, that was
right?
out.
You were at a different one.
That was out in California.
Okay, 17 catches for a tight end is wild. So I haven't watched the Penn State offense. Is he like, do they have legitimate wide receivers? And by the way, like I approach this, Jason approached this, we all approach this differently, but like I watch SEC football because that's where I live, and yeah. But like I don't go around on a Saturday. We have all of our attention in the NFL. We're just watching every single prospect. So when I see a tight end do this, I'm like, what the heck happened?
Yeah, they have a couple of solid young wide receivers, but he's their wide receiver one, and they use him like that. Like he lines up in the slot. Like I said, they put him in the backfield. They just do anything they can to get in the football. So yeah, some of those catches too in that game. He's like mossing dudes in the end zone. Really fun player to watch. Yeah, he's kind of a unicorn.
Okay.
Well, he will score well on the combine simply because he's from Penn State, and I still feel like they must have the best workout room in the country or the best drugs. I don't know what they're doing there, but
what about both?
Their players always destroy the
both.
combine. Unfortunately, I feel like sometimes they are better at the combine than they are at the NFL, although there are obviously some greats from Penn State. Although how dare you even compare him to Brock Bowers? That guy was like 14 years old in the college field dominating. He didn't take a long time to warm up.
I just said that's how they used him. That's how they're using him.
In the final year, yes. I'm going to go with a wide receiver from my home state, my alma mater, University of Arizona, Tetairoa McMillan. At least that's how I think you say it. If you haven't seen his name spelled, it's Tetairoa. And I watched a ton of highlights and cut-ups of his tape. Literally, after I had seen enough, I just wanted to hear the announcers and the commentators say his name a few times, which I believe is Tetairoa McMillan. And these cowards will not do it. They will not do it. I'm telling you, you could go watch like 5 hours of tape, and I think I heard one person say it once. It's always T-Mac. T-Mac, that's his nickname, T-Mac. So they're just cowardice. They don't know. They're not sure on how to say his name. So at best, you're going to get McMillan. But Tetairoa McMillan, wide receiver from Arizona, on the consensus big boards right now, I believe he is the number one wide receiver, expected to probably be like a top 15, top 10 NFL draft pick. In today's NFL, it'll probably be top 10 if you want the number one wide receiver. He is 6'5", listed at 212, so I'm guessing he comes in at like 6'4", 205,
correct,
206 in reality. He looks skinnier than you would want him to look. I know a lot of people go out there and they give the Mike Evans comp. I do not see that. I mean, the Mike Evans comp is yeah, exactly. This is a Drake London comp. He is very, very, very similar to me to Drake London on almost an everything basis. Like when I watched, that's kind of what I saw. I will say this. He's an exciting prospect, a ton of production. He's young. He's 21 right now. He's coming off of 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns. The year prior, 1,410. As a sophomore. So you've got the age-adjusted production. You've got the size weight combo you want. He has absolutely great hands. But I will say this. The film that I watched was broadcast. I have not had the opportunity to go through and find the all 22 yet. And for U of A, they're playing a bunch of chumps sometimes, it feels like, and it would be like they'd throw the ball and the camera would move over and Tetairoa is he's just the only guy on the screen. And it's like, oh, okay, well that's part of your 300-yard game. And so I can't tell how great a route runner is. I know he's got phenomenal hands, and I know he's got kind of the production that you want, the size and the apparent speed. So he's very toolsy. I'm excited to see if he comes through. There are a few concerns that I have, though. I don't look at this the way that, when some of these number one prospects are coming out where you're just like salivating. You're like, can't miss. But it's early. It's early for me. I haven't watched a ton, but we just want people to start hearing the names of the upcoming, hopeful star fantasy options. But Tetairoa McMillan, wide receiver from University of Arizona, he was a 5-star high school recruit. And so it's really nice when those highly recruited high school players dominate in college. That usually works in the NFL.
And Arizona hasn't really been a football school over the years.
No. Arizona's a basketball school. ASU, now that's football. Apparently, the best in the Pac, whatever they are now.
It's always will be the Pac-10 or the Pac-12. I don't know what it is anymore. I think the way that we do prospect research is that we try to take a collective approach and say, okay, here's the production stuff. Then we match it with film. And then we try to look at, situation. So we're never going to go over the top on one of those. The production is through the roof. It's awesome. We also are waiting, like Jason said, like he's going to come in a little shorter. He's going to be a little skinnier. And I'm worried about that too for the next guy. So the guy I have highlighted here is Luther Burden III of Missouri, or as I have him down here, Martin Lex Luther Burden III.
Yes.
What a name.
Oh man, with a name like Luther, you've got options for nicknames. I'm very excited to see what Lex Luthor can do.
Yeah, he's got a lot of potential, and that's it. That's all I wanted to say is his name. No, the interesting thing about Burden is at Missouri, he's a slot guy, but kind of like more of a rocked up slot guy. Like the way that DJ Moore, when he came out, he's a first round pick. DJ Moore wasn't like huge. He's 5'11", but 215. Burden's right now listed at 208. I bet he's going to come in a little closer to 200, but someone that operated out of the slot that can win after the catch. And he has punt return skills. He's good against zone. He can win downfield. So he's an interesting player because he's getting first round buzz. But a lot of these slot players that end up being gadget dudes in the NFL, it really matters about fit. And so the name that like always scares me is like you see the Kadarius Toney, where it's like, okay, they manufacture touches for him, but what is he in the NFL? Same thing with like Elijah Moore now. It's like, oh, this is a cool player. He operated out of the slot. And now teams can't really figure out where they go. But he was a 5-star recruit. He just turned 21 years old, and he's probably going to be a first-round wide receiver based on it's a supply and demand thing. It's like Jason said. Like, if you're the best wide receiver, you're going to go in the top 10, and then probably another 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's usually, what I've seen, he's the consensus number 2 wide receiver. Tools-wise, he feels far enough behind T-Mac where I don't know if someone will overtake T-Mac for that number 1 drafted
correct
spot. So do you guys have any opinions on T-Mac? I know we haven't done all of our scouting yet. We've been NFL focused right now, but from what you've seen, are you salivating? Are you guys super excited for either one of these guys as like hot diggity, a can't miss prospect?
Well, before we talk about that, I think it's funny that none of us brought up any of the running backs in this class because it seems so obvious and everybody's been talking about like in Devy circles and stuff, like this running back class should be great. So I'm interested to see like how these top wide receivers kind of fit into the overall ranks as far as that goes. So I think there's going to be a ton of running backs people are excited to draft. But as far as McMillan, like I haven't watched a ton of him yet, but from what I've seen, like he definitely has NFL traits that get you excited. I don't know that. I mean, there never really is like a slam dunk prospect. Like we thought Marv was going to be can't miss, right? And
Marv is still can't miss. But fantasy circles
expectations, though.
Circles are I know, but that was our fault on expectations.
I know,
which we. It's not like we couldn't have seen that coming.
We suck again.
But yes.
But no, I don't think there's a prospect like that where in your mind you're like, this cannot fail. I don't think there's one of those wide receiver prospects in this class personally.
Yeah, I have a terrible bias against big body wide receivers that come in the NFL and they're 50-50 guys. So it's like with Drake London, he's transitioned to be in the slot this year. Like that's where he's actually seen more targets. And so you've seen them kind of vary his usage. I need to see that with the player, or they end up, this is terrible. But in my mind, I go, is this a Kenny Golladay? Like, is that what this player is, who has good seasons, can have a, monster touchdown season, but at the end of the day, I just always worry about those players. I don't know. Do you guys feel that way about some 50-50 guys?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I mean, those are giant flags. They are very concerning, because in college you can be just bigger and stronger than some of these DBs you're playing against, but you can't have only traits translate to the NFL. We've seen this too many times where guys who are just traits players and they aren't great wide receivers, it doesn't work in the NFL. You're not going to catch the 50-50. In college, all these non-separating guys who it's not a 50-50 ball, it's a 70-30 ball. Well, guess what? In the NFL, it's a 30-70 ball. So you better separate. Absolutely. I always have concerns over that. And that's where I see Drake London as the comp, because I don't know. I mean, I have not watched enough, so I'm not going to put anything here in pen. I'm writing lightly with pencil as I start developing my opinions on him, but I just kept seeing Drake London to me.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a good, I mean, if you got that type of production out of him, you would be very happy at the NFL level. So, also, just as a little fun tease, I will have a 2025 prospect primer out January 1st to kind of just get
Happy New Year.
I know. It'll be good for the Dynasty folks to be able to have something to say, hey, starting the new year out right. We'll also get some more information from college football playoff and all of those things. So that'll be out January 1st. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, it is the season of giving. And so we thought that the best way for us to kind of express really selfishly what we want, like that's really what this segment is saying, this is what I want for Christmas when it comes to Dynasty.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! Oh, you got me there, Kyle. Where'd you pull that one from?
That was
the archives giveth. It giveth much. One of the things we wanted to do is give some Christmas wishes. So this is what I want from Dynasty players. This is what I want situational wise. And a lot of this has to do with free agency and the draft, right? Like the things we want to change aren't just going to change in week 16, 17, 18. They're probably going to change when we turn the calendar for 2025. So we'll talk about that in a second. But I'm looking back at last year's Christmas wishes. Mine was that I want the Falcons to make a change for 2024. They did that.
How are you feeling about that?
Are you happy? Are you having some Christmas wish regrets?
I think at the time I just wanted Arthur out.
Everybody in
fantasy
fantasy
didn't know that he'd lead another team to the playoffs. I didn't know that. So that one kind of hurts because I feel like I got what I wanted, and then I had a very low moment with the Falcons when they drafted Michael Penix. I mean, I was there in Arizona, Jason. You remember that?
Oh, it was so great to be around you, watching you as a Falcons fan have to deal with your team that's trying to become a winning franchise draft the future at the expense of the present.
At one point, I ran the numbers because I needed to justify things to myself, but the Falcons' first 4 picks in the draft contributed less than 4% of the snaps in the season. Like, they just basically took their first 4 picks in the draft and just threw them in the toilet so far this year.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Betz, you had one last year where you said you wanted Justin Herbert to reload his skill group. I feel like we got a little bit of that, but we kind of want some more.
I mean, we got Ladd.
Ladd was a great start, but they clearly need more. I mean, retooling, going from Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, healthy Mike Williams, to Ladd is, I don't know if that's retooling.
It's a start. Let's get one more guy in there.
I love Justin Herbert. I love him so much as a quarterback. I love watching him play. Can we just get him like 2 or 3 more players?
Oh, and they will. I mean, Andy and I talk about this all the time around the studio. The Chargers are probably 2 years away from being a Super Bowl contender. I think they're going to be better than they are this year, which is pretty good, next year, with a couple more pieces, and then the following year, that I think they'll have they'll be tied up there near the top of like top 5 Super Bowl odds.
I was gonna say they feel like this coming off season, when everybody previews the 2025 season, they'll kind of be the consensus, air quotes, like sleeper pick for a Super Bowl run. It kind of feels like that team is a year or two away. I agree with you.
I follow the Chargers for a long time. They have been that team that everybody thinks is about to make a step, and they never, ever do. But I still like them. Mike's Christmas wish last year was that he wanted to let Trey McBride cook.
He's cooking.
Ding, 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 ding.
What was the quote that Jonathan Gannon said that he wasn't supposed to, but he started talking up McBride about him getting paid?
I don't remember the exact quote, but he was basically saying this is why he's gonna make all that money. I probably shouldn't say that or whatever. But yeah, I mean, he is the leader of the offense. He is the number 1 receiving option for the Cardinals, and he's going to get paid like it.
Yeah. Would you say it's no question behind Bowers, it's McBride and then a giant tier break?
I would throw Kittle in that mix just from what he's done this season. But yes, then a tier break.
For sure, especially factoring in the age. He's so young.
All right, so we're each going to give 2 Christmas wishes here. And I'm going to start off by being really selfish because I have this quarterback in Superflex. And I really love him. And I'm really proud of him for what he's done for my roster. But it's Drake Maye. And it's real simple. Give this man an O-line and then let him cook. Because their offensive line, no matter what metric you use, all right, if you want to use PFF grades, that's fine. If you want to go find every other adjusted line metric, if you want to look, Brandon Thorne, he's probably one of the best in the industry. They're pretty much the worst. If you use your eyeballs, they are the worst offensive line in football. Number 1 in pressure rate allowed, number 1 in pressure rate over expectation. They really actually don't have, this is bad, they don't even have tackles. Like their left and right tackles are maybe the worst in the league, and their best O-lineman they had to move back. So right now, this is a rookie quarterback who's been thrown into a pretty bad situation with maybe some of the worst skill position players in the league. And yet, since week 6, guys, they're 3rd in neutral pass rate. They're right behind Cincinnati and Kansas City. They're just letting this guy throw because he can create. And on the ground, he's averaging 38 rushing yards per game. He's one of 6 rookie quarterbacks to average 35-plus rushing yards per game since 2000. RG3, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson, and Drake Maye. That's a really good fantasy list to be a part of. And so when I look at what they could do this next year, they have the most cap space available in the NFL. Right now, they're 3-11, and they're projected to pick 3rd overall for the 2nd year in a row. And so this team can retool. I'm just trying to figure out where they use their money, because this offseason, they gave their money to a 26-year-old running back in the 4th year in the NFL. I just think that's a weird way to use your money. And they really don't have anybody at wide receiver that we would say this player would not be a wide receiver 1 or 2 in any other roster in the NFL. So what are y'all's thoughts about Maye and what maybe he could be from here on? Because I would say so far, if you have him in a super flex league, you're excited about the future. He's a fine QB2, but I want a ceiling outcome. So Betz, what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I think if you've got him, like, you're happy with what he's shown as far as his ability to produce on an NFL field. And going back to like the prospect evaluation and kind of how we viewed him in rookie drafts, my thing on him was like, everybody's concerned, right? It was like the offensive line is terrible. He has no real weapons, but he throws it deep and he's going to run. And that's what you want as a fantasy quarterback, right? So we're seeing that. And he's already putting up fantasy numbers even with the situation he's in. So yeah, if you give him an offensive lineman or 2, that's an upgrade. You give him any wide receiver, that's an upgrade on what he's got right now for the most part. What's interesting is they made a really big run at Brandon Ayuk when those trade rumors were going on before he signed. So they know that they need to address it. They clearly are trying to address it. I'm interested to see what they do in free agency with this class coming up. But yeah, let's get him real wide receiver 1. Let's get him some offensive linemen and see what happens.
He threw a beautiful deep ball. I think it was Kendrick Bourne who caught it, and then Maye ran it in. Now, there was some garbage time points against the Cardinals this past week, but I feel like Maye, for what they did, taking him 3rd overall, and I know they took a while to bring him in. It was week 6. I feel like he's done exactly what they've asked him to do, and he's made rookie mistakes. He, takes 2.5 sacks a game.
Throw some picks.
Almost throws an interception.
I'm still not sure. I'm still not sure on him. They don't have good weapons, and they have absolutely no offensive line. So it's very difficult to come to a good decision on what his outlook is. But I will say that I am a little fearful of whether they can fix enough fast enough. You know what I mean? Like, if they get his offensive line taken care of and they don't get him a good weapon, he's not going to be great next year. And then, when you start the first 2 years of your career kind of down, it's just a real uphill battle. If they get him a great wide receiver, in this next year's draft, and they can't fix the O-line, it feels like they've got to do both. And I just worry whether or not, you can even try. You can say that's our focus, is we're going to fix those two things. But, you only have so much draft capital, and there's only so many specific free agents available. And so if the other people get the good offensive lineman and you get the wide receiver, or vice versa, he's going to need to overcome some on his own. He's not going to be gifted an easy path.
And I think that he can, based on the way that he plays. So, yeah, every quarterback who's drafted this early and is thrown in, they have a window of, I don't know, year and a half to maybe 2 to 3 years. Like, Will Levis had his window. He's done. He's not going to be...
because he wasn't a top 3 pick. But, yeah, right. Drake Maye will have probably a 3-year window.
Yeah, same thing with Bryce Young. They get a window, but then they get a window with the team's situation and their, draft capital and their cap status and all that other stuff that you kind of have to play around with that and then kind of say, can this player hit? And I've been going back and forth between the rookie quarterbacks and for fantasy trying to see where they're at. I think I'm at the point where skills-wise, I think Drake Maye still has a higher ceiling than Bo Nix, and so I think I might want to swing away more with Drake Maye than Bo Nix. And I don't know if you feel the same.
I know what you're saying from a skills standpoint. I would put Bo Nix ahead. If you project towards the future, the money that will start opening up for the Broncos that they haven't had, the coaching system that's in place, and the simpatico with Peyton and Bo Nix, maybe you could argue Drake Maye's ceiling is still higher, but with how Bo Nix has been running, I'm not even sure that's true. But obviously, Maye's got a stronger arm, but I just don't know how important that is. If you can time a deep pass early, then you don't need to have a rocket cannon.
Yeah, and I think Bo, I feel like there's a stigma still, or this kind of like negative connotation around him, just because of how the large consensus of the NFL draft community viewed him. It's like, he's like the 6th best quarterback in this draft. I can't believe they're going to take him at the 12th overall pick. We need to move past that. Like, he's an NFL starter for sure. He's played very well, and that he has Sutton, but he doesn't really have that much talent at his disposal either. And he's elevating. Yeah, guys.
He doesn't have a great offensive line other than McGlinchey.
True.
They're not. I mean, I will say they have been performing well. They have certainly a million times better than Drake Maye's. But I don't look at the personnel and say like, whoa, that's the reason he's got all time today.
Right.
He's using his legs and extending plays and scrambling. So, but that's not taking anything away from Drake Maye at all.
Right.
Yeah, I like the age combination. I like the early rushing production. And then if you see just a gradual increase in some of the accuracy, they bring in one guy. I mean, I hate using Josh Allen as any sort of comp for anybody because he's different. But there was a certain point where he started to skyrocket in passing production when they said, hey, what if we just get this guy who can be an alpha wide receiver 1? Let's get Stephon Diggs. And I don't know if this is the right system. Like, I don't love Alex Van Pelt as an OC. He's not my favorite play caller. But eventually this team, hopefully they get to invest at wide receiver. I mean, they still have a lot of money on the books for like Kendrick Bourne. So hopefully they shift some stuff, but like Jalen Polk has kind of been a nothing. Javon Baker cannot get on the field, a player I liked, 4th round pick. And then it's been like Booty, Pop Douglas is what he is. It's just there's not a lot there, and Hunter Henry has like one more year left. So I wish they didn't spend the money on Ramondre. That's what I really wish.
Yeah, most teams feel that way about their team spending money on a running back unless it's Saquon or Derrick Henry. When you got the middling guys, don't pay up. All right, I'll hop in here next with my big Christmas wish because we were just talking about him prior to your last Christmas wish. It's the Chargers and the bright future I think that is ahead. But specifically, I know we have talked about getting Justin Herbert another weapon, someone better, more reliable than Huge, someone that can be a one where, the lad can work in the slot. But that's not what I want. I want the Chargers to draft a stud running back. It's like Janty's probably not going to fall to them where they're drafting. Sometimes these rookie running backs now, even the number one rookie in the class will fall towards the back of the first round, but I don't think that's happening with Janty. Just like it didn't happen with Bijan and even Gibbs. He'll probably be off the board, but I want them to take the number 2 guy or trade up. I don't care. I just want – this is a team – we talked about in the offseason how much they wanted to be high T. They want to run the ball. Even though they've got Herbert who's so good, they would love Herbert to throw the ball 15 times and just get a W and get out of there. They don't care about fantasy football. They care about wins. And the first month of the season, you saw that. You saw them really focus on, fifth and neutral rush rate. They were really going at it. J.K. Dobbins looked like he had some explosiveness, and they were succeeding that way. They lost Gus Edwards. Then they really lost J.K. Dobbins well before the injury. J.K. Dobbins just, I don't know what it is with the Achilles. We saw that with Cam Akers where he came back quick and was hot and then just completely fell off for a while. That's what kind of felt like was happening with J.K. Dobbins. And so they switched. They started putting the ball in the hand of Herbert more. But I think going into next year, they drafted Joe Alt this last year. Their offensive line looks better and better. The run scheme has obviously always been one that has worked with Greg Roman. So I believe this offseason they're going to focus on the offense again, and they're going to focus on the trenches and the running backs. And if they bring in a stud running back, we've seen how Herbert uses a running back in the passing game. He's had Austin Eckler be a top fantasy option so many times because he'll throw him 100 balls, and he just doesn't have that running back outlet that works so well with him. So not only do I want them to invest in a stud running back, I really want them to invest in a studly dual threat running back. I want someone that catches the ball. I want someone that can take 50, 60 checkdowns and be able to house it, because I think for fantasy that is like the destination where I'm like, what team do I want my favorite running back to go to more than any? It's clearly the Chargers for me over the Bengals, over the Cowboys, over these other offenses that are running back needy, because I believe the combination of Harbaugh and Herbert will allow that running back to succeed monumentally, like top 5 type of running back.
I like that take, and I'm interested to see what they do in the draft, because I was just looking at some of the free agents that are available at the running back position. It's like last year was insane. The guys that moved around and signed contracts this year, like Aaron Jones is probably the headline, maybe Najee Harris, and behind that it's mostly role players.
Behind that you could argue it's J.K. Dobbins. You could say he's the next best. There's not, and Najee is not right for this system. I don't think he's not explosive enough for what they need. And then Aaron Jones would be great, but he's old. Yeah, he'll be 30.
Yeah.
It's an interesting spot because they can cut Gus. They could save $3 million. And then you look at the rest of the roster and who's just actually under contract. It's Kamani Vidal. And that's it. Like,
yeah, they're gonna tool up their running back room. I assume they'll try to re-sign J.K. Dobbins on the cheap, but Dobbins should just take as much money as he can get.
Remember when we were looking at his contract in the offseason, it was like the guaranteed
was like he
money.
Worked at a Circle K. It was like he was the manager of a Circle K. That was the contract they gave him. They're like, hey, my grandfather worked at Circle K in the 1960s. I'm going to give you, but he ran a store. I'm going to give you his contract. And J.K. Dobbins said, okay.
Poor guy. He's literally had, 3 season-ending injuries? Betz, like,
Yep.
so far in the NFL in 4 years.
Yep. It's been brutal.
I do like that the team kind of self-scouted and realized like we don't have any explosiveness in the running game. Like we're not getting these chunk plays like 10 yards down the field. So just screw it. Let's just give the ball and let's just pepper McConkey over and over again. So there are some prospects.
I love coaches that like he wants to run the ball. We know they want to run the ball, and they look and they self-scout and they go, it's not working. We're not going to do it. Like that might be what they want the most, but they're like, that's not good for us. And they're not just, I love that. That's just such good quality coaching. The Harbaughs are good at football, man.
You're a Giro guy, you know?
Harbaugh. I know this comes from the top.
All right, Betsy.
I was just looking at Gus Edwards' game logs. He does not have a run longer than 12 yards this year. So that speaks to it.
How about last year?
Probably not. Speaking of free agency, T. Higgins is going to be the name this offseason for no matter what position you really talk about. And we all, assumed, okay, he's back in Cincy on the franchise tag. They're definitely going to move on. They drafted Jermaine Burton. Like, let's hope maybe he's the heir apparent to T as the wide receiver 2. Next to Jamar Chase, and I have bad news for all of you that drafted Jermaine Burton.
He is not it.
I don't think it's going to happen. And then just this past weekend, we had Burrow coming out talking about how important T. Higgins is to the team, and he's talking about, him coming back to this team and making sure it happens. We know they've got to pay Jamar Chase, and he is going to command an unreal amount of money. But if they can figure it out, my Christmas wish is that as someone that has T. Higgins in Dynasty, I actually do want him to come back to Cincy. And it kind of sounds counterintuitive because in your head you're like, oh, he could go be the wide receiver 1 and be an alpha for somebody else. Maybe it's the Patriots. Maybe it's the Panthers, right? Maybe the grass is always greener. But like T with Jamar and Joe Burrow is a pretty good situation, especially when it's just those two guys in the pass game. So as someone that has T. Higgins, I'm cool if he comes back to Cincy. And actually, I kind of prefer it just because we know Joe Burrow is so good. And we know like with both these guys and how they operate, T is good for Jamar Chase, and obviously Jamar Chase is going to take attention off of T. Higgins. So my wish is that he actually does come back to Cincy. Let's not go anywhere else.
I agree with you. There was a point this year when T returned, right? He missed like 3 games, 4 games, something like that. But when he returned, he was being targeted at a higher rate than Jamar Chase. Like it's not like this is some random wide receiver 2 that gets propped up because Burrow and Chase are there. Like, yes, it does overall help him and his value that you're tied here, but he's a good wide receiver. He was drafted basically almost in the first round, right? He was the first pick of the second round. So he is a really, really good player. And I think I agree with you. I think a lot of times in Dynasty, we think if they just got this opportunity, then everything would be changed. It's the same thing when I look at Jermaine Burton. I was like, man, if T leaves, people are going to be like, well, year 1, he didn't really get to learn the system. And he's going to like every single time you can spin any single player, especially young wide receivers, and say the situation's going to be better. So I think T is in a really, really good spot. I like him more as a rock solid wide receiver 2 for my roster. Like I don't really love going into matches where it's like, yeah. And that's where he should be valued. I wanted to give you guys some names just to kind of compare. Would you rather have T. Higgins in Dynasty or George Pickens?
Oh, that is super interesting.
If T's going back to Cincy, I would like T.
Yeah, I would agree there. The fact that both these guys, we don't know what teams they play for in 2 years. If they both were back on their existing team, I would take Pickens. I worry that the Steelers will move on and Pickens could go poof. So I think right now I'm reading the tea leaves and I'll lean that direction.
Well done. I'm pretty sure George Pickens sounds like he's a Carolina Panther. Like that's
the exact type of stuff I'm worried about with him.
They just do the same
and
thing
I wouldn't blame him.
Deontay Johnson.
Just
Carolina.
Go get the most money you can.
Oh man, my neighbor is a Panthers fan. And pretty much every single time, he's just like, we don't know what we're doing. We have no idea, no clue what we're doing. We're just kind of like, Adam Thielen? Sure. We'd love to run him out there. Deontay Johnson? Yeah, sure. We'll pay for him, but on somebody else's team. Like, that's really what they decided to do. All right, one more name here. This will pull at the heartstrings. Would you rather have T. Higgins or Lad McConkey?
Oh, my little lad. That was not my answer. That was an obligation because his name was said. So, Betz, why don't you answer?
That's a tough one. Obviously, you get a little bit younger with Lad. I would probably still take T. Go ahead.
Let's say it's full PPR.
I would still take T.
Makes it harder.
I would still take T.
Go.
But Lad's
I believe I'm on the T. I believe I'm on the T side as well. The undersized wide receivers has been a real conundrum with me. I'm gonna have to do like a heart deep dive process this offseason because over the last 3 years, I finally started coming around to the light boys. You know, the modern NFL, the less physical, the take fewer hits, the spread them out offense, the collegiate system coming into the NFL. The little light
stick boys.
The little light stick boys have come on strong, but then it also feels like they have fallen off after their rookie years. They're always injured. They're not touchdown machines. You know, the obvious issues and worries. And I think I'm going to take the size. I feel like I'm getting back to my sizest ways. You know, but I don't know. I really do need to do like an analytical and spiritual deep dive this offseason on wide receiver weights because, you know, Jordan Addison's gotten it back together. Devontae Smith is, you know, looked okay recently, and Lad's obviously going. It's like, okay, you know, they're not all Tank Dellin, but the weight thing scares me. And if you guys have insight, because I feel like right now I'm so in my head about wide receiver weight that if you have the answer, please share it with me.
I don't.
Jason, you have gone on your own journey of back and forth about this.
Yeah.
As a prospect, even yourself, in terms of weight and losing weight, this is personal.
It is a deeply personal journey of weight loss. So let me hear it. Are you saying I need to put the weight back on? Are you saying I should get back to bulk season? Because I'll do it, man.
It's getting cold, man.
It is. I'm wearing jackets and stuff. It's weird.
Yeah, Jason wearing jackets on podcasts is definitely a rare
that threw me
sight.
for a loop today.
I'll say this. I've had my own moments where I feel like I've been the guy on this podcast like, guys, but what did he do against zone? And slowly I've just been like, well, I think man coverage matters a lot more than we're giving credit. And I've been looking at that every single week. And now I feel like such a liar. I don't even know who I am.
Yeah.
Kyle, ask Amari Cooper how much that matters against man coverage. Okay? Because my Dynasty team would like to know.
They said he would be a really good play this past week, but he was not. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. We've got a couple more Christmas wishes we are going to share with you guys. And once again, this is a selfish wish for one of my Dynasty quarterbacks in the main Ballers Dynasty League. He brought us to the playoffs, and Jeremy and I's team just bowed out. But it's Jaden Daniels, and I'm just begging the Commanders, can they just add 2 playmakers? And I'm saying just dudes that can play. They know ball in either the draft or free agency, because this team has the 3rd most cap space, and the only wide receivers under contract in 2025 is Terry McLaurin, who's probably going to get some restructured awesome extension after what he did, and Luke McCaffrey, who apparently the team doesn't even like. Like, they're just never playing this dude. Nobody else is under contract for 2025. And my question for you guys is, what was their plan? Like, they're drafting this guy 2nd overall. He changes the franchise. It's the place to play. Hopefully they make the playoffs. Hopefully they kick the Eagles' butt this week. And
good one.
They don't have a plan. Like, they didn't have anything else. They just kind of got to this point. They said, let's draft our signal caller, and then there's nobody else. So that leads me to believe like they either could be a big player in free agency, or they really could draft somebody else that's young, because we know Terry McLaurin is 29. He deserves another contract. He's like Mr. Washington. He's done a ton. But like, apart from that, there's nobody else on this roster except for Ben Sinnott, who also, I don't even know if they like him. Like, I don't know if they drafted him the second round to not play him?
Nah, this is on par. I mean, we saw this with Trey McBride. Trey McBride sat behind Zach Ertz
But
and
Trey
did
McBride
nothing.
had way more production in college than
Yes,
Ben Sinnott's a fun bit, and I hope he works out.
It's not a bit, Kyle. Come on.
I do think Ben Sinnott will step up into
How many
a pass
catches does he
catching
have
role
this year?
next year.
5 catches
yeah.
this year.
On 5 targets, 100% catch rate.
100% catch rate. They said it couldn't be
That guy
done.
doesn't miss.
They need to help this guy out. They need to help out Jaden Daniels because he's bailed them out a ton this year. And maybe Brian Robinson Jr. gets an extension. Like he's moving into year 4, and maybe they do the same thing they did with Ramondre. But I'm looking at the free agency class, and let's say they don't get T. Higgins. Let's just take him off the list. From there, it's a bunch of other dudes that I would say we're not super ecstatic to be adding them at this stage in their career. Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin coming off an injury, Diggs coming off an injury, Hopkins is going to be 33 this next year, Keenan Allen. Now that's a player, but I don't think you want to be adding Keenan Allen. Everybody hates Deontay Johnson. Hollywood Brown doesn't play football anymore. I mean, there's literally no one else out there in free agency for them to attack. Like, there's not even a secondary guy where you'd take like a Darnell Mooney or something like that. So
This is why these wide receivers are going to get pushed up in the draft, because so many teams look and they go, we need another playmaker. Like, we have to have a number 2 or even a number 1 for some of these teams. And it's like, okay, well, let's go hard after free agency. And there's not anybody great. It's like T. Higgins, if he ends up back at Cincinnati, if they franchise him again or give him a long-term contract, now you're really going, okay, I've got to get one in the draft. They all move up. And that's going to be hard because you're going to be talking about nearer the back end than the front end for the Commanders. So maybe you're not hoping they beat the Eagles.
yeah, there's a couple of names. I mean, I mentioned Burden earlier, who's probably going to be pushed up as a playmaker. My selfish desire is that he gets an LSU wide receiver who's kind of down the boards, but it's Kyron Lacey, who was with him 2 years ago at LSU. That's my selfish desire. But Jaden Daniels, come on, like, you struck gold. You got a franchise quarterback, and yet you look at the playmakers on the team. It's like they need 1 or 2 more. It can't just be 30-year-old Terry McLaurin.
It can be. I'm just saying, like, with Jaden Daniels, it can be. Like, I'm
he
not
can
even
be fine with fantasy, but I think this team.
Look at Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, I know Flowers, they finally went out and got a first-round wide receiver, and they used to have Hollywood or whatever, but let's just call that Terry McLaurin, right? And then beside that number 1, it's been a tight
becomes Mark Andrews.
It's been a tight end, which you have Zach Ertz or maybe the Senator, and then a hodgepodge. It's Nelson Aguilar and Rashad Bateman, and they could find those pieces to filter in. Like, if I'm building this team, I pretty much look at Jaden Daniels as someone who can overcome a poor wide receiver room with his legs and with the scheme, and I'm going to put as many pieces around him as I can. Like, I would rather give him great, trenches and the ability to make plays in the pocket for longer, and then go get some Jags, go get some just veteran wide receivers who are good at football, and go get a Tim Patrick type of player that's just going to go in there and catch what you throw his way and be in the right spot, and then let Jaden do what he does. I mean, it's more fun to be like, oh, he's going to get two sensational new weapons.
But Baltimore used first-round picks on those guys. Like, I know that we talk about Rashad Bateman now. Like, they actively thought, I need to draft playmakers. And at the time, Rashad Bateman was like, oh, well, this player coming out of Minnesota, he's going to be fine. So I just think that, I would like to see we're trying to do this, even if they don't turn out well. Because those were first-round picks. Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of first-round picks.
Jason.
Oh, never mind. Go ahead, Jason.
We're sharing our second Christmas wish. My second Christmas wish is the opposite of what you just wished for. You wanted your quarterback to get a weapon. Malik Neighbors needs to get a real quarterback. This is a different type of athlete. The whole conversations of that has really happened all year long and constantly goes back and forth. And it's the most recency bias thing of like whatever happened last week is like, oh, Malik Neighbors so much better than Marvin Harrison. Oh, Marvin Harrison is clearly better than Malik Neighbors. You got too hot and bothered with that early strong start. It's just gone back and forth and back and forth. Malik Neighbors is a better athlete than Marvin Harrison. There's no question. That is not up for debate. Marvin Harrison has some length, some reach, some certain skills that Malik Neighbors does not have. But having watched the entire rookie year, I think that if you put both of those guys in the exact same situation, same coordinator, same quarterback, same whatever, Malik Neighbors is better. And if you get and here's the deal: the Giants, are they right now at the number 1 pick, or are they number 2? They're right up there.
2 behind the Raiders right now.
Okay, so it goes Raiders, Giants, which that's where you want to be. Okay, that's where you get the great quarterbacks in today's NFL. Not only are you number 2, but you're behind a franchise that can mess it up. Say like Carolina taking Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud, or Jaden Daniels going number 2 behind Caleb Williams. There you go. That's maybe how the Giants cannot screw it up, is have the choice taken from them, be in second position and let the correct quarterback fall to you. But my hope is just that the right one is who goes to the Giants. It's good for the NFL, a big major media market. I don't want the Giants to get a bad rookie quarterback again. We know they're taking a rookie quarterback. We know that's their play. Their top 3 pick this next year will be a quarterback. That will be Malik Neighbors' future. So my Christmas wish is that it hits. It's not that they draft a quarterback. It's that they draft the right one. I don't care if it's their skill or their luck or whatever, but if I have to pick between whether Brock Bowers and the Raiders gets the future first ballot Hall of Famer or Malik Neighbors and the Giants get that guy to the Giants. I'm fine with the Raiders sucking forever just because that they got Vegas to fall back on. The players there are having a good time. Go to the Strip, have a good time. The Giants out there struggling to be relevant in New York with so many other teams and there's such a major market and other sports and everything. The Mets are better than you right now. Like, come on. You've got to have the Giants relevant again, and the only way that happens is if they get a real quarterback. And if they get a real quarterback, Malik Neighbors is a top 5 NFL wide receiver. And maybe not in that quarterback's rookie season, but like going forward, you're just going to see what should be. So I haven't scouted Sanders or Ward yet to know my personal takes on quarterbacks. I don't care. I don't care which one is better. Just the better one. Go to New York, please. That's my Christmas wish.
Yeah, I don't even think it's going to matter. It's just not going to be Tommy DeVito, Tim Boyle, bag of poop. It's not.
But Daniel Jones, veteran Daniel Jones, not rookie Daniel Jones, veteran Daniel Jones could very easily be better than rookie year one of those two guys. I mean, Daniel Jones wasn't a putrid NFL quarterback. He's a middling, average, non-franchise quarterback who is capable of connecting with a wide receiver. And I want much better than Daniel Jones. I don't want Daniel Jones from Malik Neighbors. I want a Jaden Daniels. I want them to get the rookie that comes in here and is like, check out all these touchdowns I know how to throw. Is that too much to dream for?
I think everybody that has Malik Neighbors is dreaming for the exact same thing.
I have no shares of Malik Neighbors. I still want it. I just want to watch it. He's a cool player.
His first touchdown this past weekend since week 3. That is just how bad the Giants
sounds very Giants
have been. Speaking of the Giants and Shedeur Sanders, during Monday Night Football against the Falcons, we were seeing tank for Shedeur signs in the stands in Las Vegas. So everybody kind of is thinking the same. In that game, we saw some really bad quarterback play from Desmond Ridder. We continue to see horrendous quarterback play from Kirk Cousins. And I was telling Kyle this on the DFS show this week. I had the sound on the other Monday Night Football game. And so by the time I turned on the sound for this one, because it was the second one that finished, I heard them in the last drive or two. And like the commentators are like, do you think they trust Kirk Cousins in this spot to convert on third down? Or are they just going to hand the ball off? It was like 3rd and 8. It's like, well, they better throw the ball here. Like, what do you mean? So with Kirk, it is, man, it's tough. And I'll let Kyle chime in here. I know he has some thoughts, but they didn't run a single, well, they ran one, pass down on 1st and 10. The team is not trying to win right now. They're trying not to lose. And I just don't know what's happening at the quarterback position. So my Christmas wish for Drake London and Mooney, and if you still believe in Kyle Pitts and Bijan, is like, can we just see what Penix can do? Because I think right now we know the answer about Kirk Cousins in terms of where he's at. It's been horrendous. And I'm just not sure, obviously, what the plan is for next year. I know that they owe him a ton of money. Do they eat it and just have him on the bench? Like, what are they doing in Atlanta? So my wish for Drake London and all the guys is let's just see what Penix can do.
I hope that Kirk, because Kirk's a great guy, by the way. We've always been big Kirk fans. I hope that he, this offseason, just kind of thinks things over. He's here in the Atlanta area and just says, you know what? I think I'm going to be done. Like, I think I've had a good run. Like, because, yeah, you know, a lot of teams want their quarterback to cook. Like, ours has been like, let's protect Kirk from Kirk. That's been the game plan. That's what it was on Monday night. And with Penix, you're just
Kyle,
gonna...
you're a Falcons fan. You're in Atlanta. You are close to the team and have been for many years. This team sees Michael Penix at practice every day. It always is funny to me, these coaches, and sometimes the coaches come out and say this to the media of like, this isn't a surprise. I see him in practice every day talking about the backups. He's like, well, you haven't seen him. And I was like, well, yes, I have. I see him every day. The adamant nature with which it appears for me, not in Atlanta, that they demand to stick with Captain Kirk, is that worrisome to you, or is that just good coaching?
It's propaganda. It's basically, they've told everybody to say, hey, we're staying with this plan, and for team morale, and for the money we spent, and for everything else, and for our fans, we're just going to stay with this.
But who's the propaganda coming from? Because I feel like
the coaching staff has basically said, this is our guy. There are no other questions. So a lot of news stuff has not come out about this is how Penix looked in practice, and because he's just, he hasn't been practicing with the ones at all. So a lot of that is basically veiled from the team having the same experience. I mean, they can see how the ball comes out of his hand. Like, Penix throws a live ball. It obviously looks different. And a lot of these guys have never caught a ball from somebody throwing left-handed like that. So I just think at the end of the day, they basically said, we're digging our heels in as an organization. This is our plan this year. And we're not going to question it for 2024. And for a while, that looked great. When you could say, oh, we got a 2-game divisional lead on the... I mean, guys, it's crazy enough they could still win the division. They have the tiebreaker over the Buccaneers.
What a terrible division.
Do you think, I mean, obviously we're going to find out over the next several months. Do you think, Kyle, that it's Kirk in week 1 next year? If you had to guess?
If I had to guess right now, do I think it is Kirk in week 1? Yes, I would guess that.
Neat.
Fun.
I don't know if that means anything.
It doesn't. But
just interesting.
Hey, I got that Penix jersey, though. I'm going to be wearing that thing.
Sooner than you think.
Yep. All right, before we head out, we are going to be taking a little bit of break over the holiday season. Christmas coming up, and then it is New Year's Day. So next couple Wednesdays, we will not be having a Dynasty podcast.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere. We don't shut it down for any offseason. This is Dynasty. But obviously with the next 2 holidays, we want you and yours and us and ours to spend time with the families and enjoy the holiday season. So as soon as the clock strikes 2025, we'll be back as regularly scheduled. And at that point, we'll be already scouting into all these rookies and being excited about Mike and I's 4th championship in 5 years, baby.
I hope you guys get crushed.
Champ.
We hope they eat dust, and we will talk to you again soon. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty Podcast. If you want to take your Dynasty skills to the next level, check out thefantasyfootballers.com.